Anyway, as I was saying, really all I need to salvage from this whole assembly is the mounting, the cover, and the vibration isolator here. I get a new blower with the kit. This blower's got to come off. I get a new, I believe this is to be a flywheel with the kit. So this flywheel comes off. The motor gets chucked. All I need is the cover and the vibration isolator. The problem I have is with this set screw, because of the high temperatures inside the flue area, the set screw here has been baked on. I'm having a tough time getting it off. I'm going to try a little bit of penetrating oil on it. So I had a bit of a tough time getting that off, but I ended up having to drill the spindle out because, again, the high temperatures generated inside the flue area of this furnace basically seized that set pin onto the shaft. If you take a look at the shaft, I had to put one side of the shaft in my vise and then take a vise grip right here and twist that spindle till it broke. But I drilled it 3 times in 3 different spots, which made it weak, and pulled it off. So yeah, on to the next step. Now we're going to be able to take the original housing off, which you saw goes into the furnace. Next is, of course, the vibration isolator, and to get the motor off, you've got to take off these 1, 2, and 3. Actually, just the 2. Looks like just 2 little 1/4-inch bolts, and I'm going to do that next. So I've taken the bolts out. Now I'm freeing up the isolator, I guess. This is the vibration and sound isolator. As you can see, there's isolation there, isolation on the mounting areas. And there's the old motor. And there's the new motor. Motor, new motor. Anyway, I'm going to carry on. Just start assembling this now. So I've installed the new motor onto the original vibration isolation bracket. So on the right side is where the blower fan is going to go. On the left side is where the, what I believe to be is called the flywheel is going to go. So that's what it looks like. And now I'm going to put this isolation bracket onto this housing. And I'll show that to you in the next frame. Alright, so now we're almost there. We've got the isolation bracket assembled to the housing. And all we have to do now is install the blower fan on the right, the flywheel on the back side, the left side here of this picture, and this housing just fills the hole in, and we can assemble it onto the furnace via that hole where my thumb is, bottom hole, and the top right hole. Don't forget to put your ground wire onto the right or the left side isolation screw, and the unit will be grounded. Alright, so I've now mounted the blower onto the motor, and as you can see here, there is a recess in one part of the fan. It's directly lined up with the set screw, so you can get your tool in there to turn that set screw. And flywheel spin, or the blower spins quite freely. Should be no issue. So I'm going to wait till I have the actual, this whole assembly mounted before I put the flywheel on. We also have to take off the old gasket material from the furnace and install new gasket material so that there's a good effective seal. This is a high temperature gasket material that we got to strip off and then reinstall as part of the kit. So I'm going to go do that right now. Gasket off. And we're about to put the new gasket in. Here's the gasket kit that comes with the overall kit. 2 different sizes, I suppose. Mine is going to be the bigger one. So we've got the gasket on, and it's ready to be installed into the furnace, the whole assembly. The manual states that you can use some Elmer's glue, white glue, to just steady the gasket onto the assembly, so it's easy to put it on and you don't have to worry about it falling off and out of place. So we are now going to put this whole assembly in to the furnace, but the first thing I'd like to do is vacuum out inside of here, because one thing I noticed when I pulled the whole assembly out was that there were pieces of little bits of dust and little bits of fiberglass and pieces of gasket that had gone into the blower housing that's inside. So I'm just going to take a vacuum and clean that out. So now we're at the point where we have cleaned out the blower housing. In behind the blower housing is a smaller hole. That's the exit point of the heat exchanger. And I cleaned that out too. There was a bit of dust in there, and I got my vacuum in there and cleaned it out. So both of those areas have been cleaned out. I've tested the blower to make sure that it spins freely, and it does. It just stopped spinning. It doesn't have the flywheel on the back, but we're just going to mount it as it is into the furnace and connect the flywheel after we get it onto the furnace, or the assembly onto the furnace. So here goes. Here is the finished product. We have installed the entire assembly and installed the flywheel / motor fan. We're now ready to test the installation. As you can see, we've reinstalled the wiring with the white at the bottom, black on top, and of course the ground wire behind here. Let's fire it up. We've now fired up the furnace. We've got our igniter, hot surface igniter on, which means that the diaphragm is sensing a negative pressure created by the inducer motor. Burners would not turn on unless we had a negative pressure